Unit 1, Develop and maintain networks and collaborative partnerships. The first part of this is identify networking and collaboration needs and opportunity. Collaboration and networking are distinctly different in focus and nature. Collaboration is working together with others to achieve a common goal or to complete a specific project. It's pooling knowledge, skills, resources and efforts to produce a collective outcome. The key characteristics are shared objectives, active involvement, cooperation, coordination, and it should be mutually beneficial to both parties. Networking, on the other hand, is establishing and nurturing professional relationships for exchanging information, resources and opportunity. Networking involves building connections, expanding professional circles and keeping contacts in your industry or field. So our industry is student boarding, so keeping contacts in student boarding. The key characteristics of networking are relationship building, information exchange, building a professional reputation and opportunity creation. So collaboration and networking are distinctly different. Collaboration is actively working together, so that's working together towards a common goal, while networking is building and maintaining professional relationships for the exchange of information, resources and opportunity. Collaboration in boarding. In a student boarding context, we collaborate to meet the needs of students and to provide the best possible boarding experience for students. Examples are collaborating with other boarding supervisors to deliver the program, and boarding supervisors collaborate like this all the time. Collaborating with a local basketball association to organise and run a basketball carnival. Collaborating with a school music specialist to organise and run a concert or a music event. Collaborating with a Rotary Club to organise a working bee to clean up the local oval. Collaborating with school specialists and tutors to provide a homework and study program. Collaborating with the kitchen staff to provide a special end-of-year barbecue. Collaborating with school wellbeing team to provide a health program in boarding. Collaborating with First Nations people for NAIDOC events. The benefits of collaboration are that a supervisor working by themselves cannot provide a satisfactory duty of care or a holistic or optimal boarding experience. Boarding staff members need to collaborate together with other people and organisations to provide a satisfactory standard of care or duty of care and an optimal boarding experience. So what are the benefits of collaboration for the organisation? This is question 2. It means that the organisation can deliver programs that they don't normally have the resources to deliver. They can deliver new, improved or more integrated services. There are financial savings, it's a more efficient use of resources, support between organisations and developing a stronger, more united voice. The benefits of collaboration for the students is better care and services, greater range of activities, more holistic development opportunities, and overall a better boarding experience. The benefits of collaboration for the boarding supervisor is better support in their role, being more effective in the role to provide care and holistic development. It's less stressful as the workload is shared. Collaboration needs. These exist when staff can't do the actions, practices or programs alone and they need to collaborate with others. Any actions, practices or programs that are essential for the safety and well-being of the students or useful because they improve the boarding experience. So collaboration is required if the task requires more than one person, if it requires a team or another organisation, you don't have the required skills or knowledge, the task requires equipment and facilities you don't have, the cost would be reduced, the task time would be reduced, or the outcome quality would be better. What are the factors that influence the prioritisation of collaboration? This is question 3. It is the urgency of the need, the resources available in the organisation, and the organisation's vision and mission. Does this collaboration fit into the organisation's vision and mission? Collaboration needs in your residence. So can you list 4 collaboration needs in your residence and prioritise these from 1, which equals the most important, to 4, which is the least important. And you can use these factors here that would influence the prioritisation of collaboration, the urgency, the resources, and does it fit with the organisation's vision and mission. Principles in collaboration are respect, honesty and trust between the parties involved, privacy and confidentiality, participation and commitment to the process, effective communication, inclusivity and agreement, clear shared goals and objectives, accountability, so establish who has the authority to make decisions, and respecting the intellectual property and copyrights of each party. Collaboration is not always the best for every situation or for every organisation. There are risks in collaboration. Sometimes the outcomes do not justify the time and resources. There can be loss of flexibility or complexity in decision making, loss of autonomy. There can be mission drift, where you drift away from your original mission or goals, or away from your core aims. There can be damage or dilution of your brand and reputation, damage to organisation and waste of resources if unsuccessful, lack of awareness of legal obligations, or there could be parent or student confusion in collaboration. So questions to ask before collaborating: what are we hoping to achieve? Are you sure that the collaborative working is the best way to achieve this? Will collaboration add value to your services? Will there be measurable benefits to staff, parents and students? Will there be cost savings for your residents? Will the result justify the time, effort and money involved? What will you lose by working on your collaboration project? Do you risk mission drift, drifting away from your main goals or aims? Will the structure of your organisation be affected by the change? How will you deal with long-term implications? Will collaboration change your organisation's other existing relationships? So they're questions to ask before entering a collaboration arrangement. Okay, let's look at networks in boarding. So these networks would be between boarding staff and other boarding staff, school staff. Obviously, you're not only networking with boarding staff, you're also collaborating with them because you're working together. Networking with boarding supervisors from other schools and residences, with school health and wellbeing staff, school specialists such as music, sport and art. External health providers such as doctors, hospitals, psychiatrists, psychologists, dentists and other health consultants, mental health consultants, counsellors and psychologists, mental health services such as Headspace, local sporting clubs, local music clubs and music teachers, local service clubs. When we need interaction with others from both within our organisation and outside our organisation, service providers and other organisations to provide a safe and optimal boarding experience for students. Networking with others is required to identify people, service providers and organisations we can collaborate with. It helps us remain current in knowledge, best practice and new ideas and changes. It helps us access training and professional development to achieve quality outcomes and to develop a personal profile. When we prioritise networking needs, we prioritise them like this. What is the urgency of the need? What are essential needs? And what are staff development needs? So networking needs in your residence, this is question 7, list 3 potential needs, networking needs for your residents and prioritise these from most important to least important. And again, you can prioritise them by the urgency of the need. Is it an essential need? Is it a staff development need? The benefits of networking for the organisation, this is question 8. It identifies people in the residence for support and collaboration, identifies people and organisations outside the residence for support and collaboration, the sharing of ideas, news, current best practices and change in practice. It identifies training and PD opportunities. Possible benefits for the students are improved care and services, a much greater range of activities and opportunities, and just a better overall boarding experience. Possible benefits for the boarding supervisor: more current information and possible collaboration, training and professional learning opportunities, development of personal profile and future opportunity, employment opportunities. That's question 8. What networks exist in your residence? So what is the purpose of these networks? How does it work? Who's involved? And how could others get involved? The principles of networking. This is question 10. Give and you will get back. Be genuinely interested in people. Make sure your behaviour is ethical. Be proactive and organised. Be approachable and friendly. Take a long-term approach when networking. Examples of different types of networks and collaboration. So you've got organisational, so this is networks between organisations. An example is boarding staff working with local health professionals, and collaboration between organisations. 2 boarding schools collaborating together to employ 1 HR person is an example of collaboration between organisations. Individual, boarding staff networking with psychologists, psychiatrists and other health professionals, and collaboration with the individual. Boarding supervisors collaborating with other boarding staff to take students on an excursion. We have virtual, so this is networking online with other boarding supervisors from other residences and schools, or collaborating online to develop a joint webinar, for example, or an online conference. Formal online networking such as LinkedIn or network of boarding providers. And collaborating, this is collaborating with a government funding agency to provide a service. Informal is a list of contact details for individuals and organisations that a boarding supervisor can call on for support and advice. So that's networking, informal networking. Informal collaboration, 2 boarding supervisors working together to assist a student, and that will help you with question 13. Industry structure and interrelationships between different organisations, and this will help you with question 12. Public sector organisations, we have government agencies at federal, state and local levels responsible for policy making, regulation and service delivery. And examples are WorkSafe, ATO, State Departments of Education and Transport, etc. And then we have public utilities. These are public sector organisations. These are responsible for the provision of essential services such as electricity, water and gas, and depending on which state you're in, could be Ausgrid, Sydney Water, Energy Australia, Yarra Valley Water, etc., or Water Corp in WA. So that's public sector organisations. Private sector organisations, and this is again will help you with question 12. You've got for-profit and not-for-profit. So for-profit are mining and resources like BHP and Rio Tinto, finance and banking, Commonwealth Bank, ANZ, retail, Woolworths and Coles, telecommunication, Telstra and Optus, healthcare, Ramsay Healthcare, CSL, etc. These are all for-profit companies. And not-for-profit address various social, environmental and humanitarian issues, so charitable foundations, advocacy groups and community organisations. So most boarding residences are operated by non-profits or associations, or some are operated by the government. Interrelationship between organisations, so you've got this supply chain and value chain. So the example is in agricultural industry, farmers supply produce to food processors and manufacturers who distribute the final product to retailers and consumers. Boarding providers rely on the supply chain for all resources required in boarding, such as food, equipment, fuel, electricity, etc. Partnerships and collaborations. Public-private partnerships. In Australia, to fund and deliver projects such as roads, hospitals, schools between government bodies and private construction companies or consortiums. So that's an example of public-private partnerships. Industry collaborations, boarding organisations collaborate together for conferences, training and events such as sporting competitions. Others, for example, Urumalay Studio School, this is a collaboration between Wesley College and the Bunnaba community of the Kimberley in Western Australia. Government and private sector interactions. Government purchasing. Australian government entities have specific procedures for tendering and awarding contracts for goods and services. regulatory authorities, government bodies such as the Australian Securities and Investment Commission, ASIC, and the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, ACCC, regulate private sector activities to ensure that there's fair competition and to protect consumer interests. Example of the interrelationship between your boarding residents and a government agency, a public utility, a for-profit organisation and a not-for-profit organisation, and this is question 13. Industry associations in boarding. We have Boarding Training Australia, which is us, have Australian Boarding Schools Association, ABSA, Indigenous Education and Boarding Australia, IEBA, and these organisations support boarding. And then you have Isolated Children's Parents Association, of an example of an organisation that funds students to board. Part 2, developing networks and collaboration in boarding. Boarding residences are part of the wider community. They've got links with services and individuals from within the boarding residence and outside the boarding residence. To best meet the needs of students, we need to identify services and providers who can assist and form links or networks with those services. Networking in community services or boarding is very different to business models, and networking really came out of a business model. So it's not about increasing sales as you would in a business model. It's focused on providing a better, more effective service for our clients who are boarding students. It's about developing partnerships that will enable you to provide the best possible care and development for your students, the best possible boarding experience. That should help you with question 14. So how do we set up networks in boarding? This should help with question 15. These are the steps. Identify possible areas where a person or group might need support. Identify organisations and providers that can provide the services to support. Contact them. Establish links and gather information. Provide information on your own organisation and maintain the network of contacts. Network areas in boarding include these, and this should help you with question 16. Other boarding staff, school staff and boarding supervisors from other schools and residences. And not only will you network with these three, but you'll probably also collaborate with them. But then you'll probably network with school health and wellbeing staff, school specialists, external health providers, mental health consultants, mental health services, First Nations incorporations and groups, local sporting clubs, local music clubs, music teachers, local service clubs. Some of these will be known and readily accessible or contactable, such as other boarding staff and school staff. Other network contacts will need to be researched. So how do we do that? This will help you with question 17. We can gather information by checking our existing networks and the existing networks in boarding, and where possible continue to use these existing contacts. Check websites and promotion material, review the information, is it current and is it up to date, and then research other potential networks using website searches. We should proactively contact, so where possible, contact people face to face, but you can also use phone, email, and networking sites such as LinkedIn are very good. So let's have a look at a case study, Mitford Boarding School, and this is a fictional but typical boarding residence in Australia. It employs boarding supervisors and a boarding manager who are also typical of boarding staff in Australia. Mitford is a co-ed boarding school. It has 96 secondary students in boarding. The school has 800 students. It's in the outer suburbs of a city like Melbourne, and the boarding manager is Toby. Toby makes a list of services and providers that might be able to meet the needs of students. So he's setting up his network. Firstly, he sets up categories of support required: behaviour, health and wellbeing, development and recreation, and diversity. Then he lists all known services in the organisation and all known services that he knows in the community. He labels them as regular contact or occasional contact. He collects details on these services and organisations and individuals, and he develops a procedure for establishing links, such as setting up networks and sharing information. So let's have a look at the behaviour category. Who in the school could assist with behaviour issues? So like issues like bullying, anger management, antisocial behaviour, that sort of thing. And in the school, he's got the deputy principal, the school psychologist, and the school counsellor. The school counsellor also has a list of contacts who provide support for issues that cannot be addressed by the school. In the health and well-being category, he's got the school nurse, the school psych, and external agencies who deal with specific health issues. In the development and recreation category, he's got arts, sport, music, dance, leadership, academic support, etc. And in the diversity character, which includes supporting students from diverse cultures, religious groups, gender diversity, etc. He's got school chaplain, the Indigenous liaison officer, local Indigenous corporation, Sudanese migrant support, Pacific Islander Social Association, Assemblies of God, Open Doors Queensland, and Strong Brother, Strong Sister. To document this, and this should help you with question 19, Toby makes up an Excel spreadsheet to record the different services, the organisation or a person providing the service, the name of the contact, the email address, the phone number, notes about the service, and the student to which the service is relevant. And you can see an initial setup of that networking sheet here, networking spreadsheet. So you've got behaviour, then you've got school and boarding, who can help in school and boarding, who can help in the community, health and well-being, who can help in the school, who can support in the local community, development and recreation, and then diversity. Now we need current information, and this will help you with question 20, to provide to individuals, organisations and service providers who are going to provide this support. So this current information should be available to our network or to people that we're wanting to network with. This is general in nature, so on facilities, student numbers, programs, staffing, addresses and contact details. So it's very general in nature, it's not specific information about a particular student. And it's generally available in an information brochure, a student handbook, but more commonly these days it's on a website. So pretty much everything these days that we need to know we will find on these websites. We need to regularly check the information to make sure that it's up to date and correct, and we need an effective version control process to make sure that we are looking at the latest version, and that should help you with question 21. Part 3, representing your organisation. It's important to maintain a positive and professional image when representing your organisation, and this will help you with question 22. So we need consistency in communication style, messaging, branding, using approved logos, colours and visual assets. It needs to be accuracy of information about the organisation, its products, services and initiatives. We should avoid making any false claims or misrepresenting facts. Then it should be transparency about your own role and connection when communicating in an official capacity, professionalism in tone and demeanour in all interactions, be respectful, courteous and responsive when engaging with others, whether it's in person or by email or on social media. Knowledge and expertise, so stay informed about your organisation, the mission, goals and values. Be knowledgeable about your industry so that you can effectively represent its interests. Be authentic, be genuine, show enthusiasm for the work and convey a sense of passion and dedication. There's a lot in that, isn't there, when you're representing your organisation, but I think it's very important. Your words and actions reflect the organisation's image and reputation. It's important to represent in a positive and professional manner, to be positive, not to detail negatives or incidents. And we all have things that we're not happy about or not proud of, but just to be positive and to talk about the positive things of our organisation, Don't overpromise or exaggerate. If you send your student to us, they will, pass year 12 and go on to university, because they may not. So don't overpromise, and be clear and factual about your organisation. Providing information, the process by which personal student information is obtained, stored, updated, accessed and passed on to third parties is determined by the organisation's privacy policy, which will conform to the Australian privacy principles. So disclosing personal information to third parties can only be done if the student or parent, depending on the student's age, gives permission, it's authorised by the organisation or required by law, and it meets one of the other exceptions in the Australian privacy principles. The Australian Privacy Act was revised in 2014, and we have these Australian privacy principles. These guide on how to manage personal information in an open, transparent way, and explain what information can be collected, how the information can be used, how the information can be passed on to others. When we're thinking about privacy and confidentiality, don't share information with people who don't need it, even if you are, allowed to do it. If they don't need it, don't share information with them. Keep written information in a safe place, and don't gossip. Copyright and intellectual property protection in Australia is governed by the Copyright Act 1968 and other irrelevant legislation. And so this will help you with question 25. Copyright automatically protects the original literary, artistic, musical, dramatic works, as well as film, sound recording and broadcast. So there's no need to register these copyrights, as it's granted on creation of the work, and it lasts for the life of the creator plus 70 years. So anonymous works last for 70 years from the first publication. Copyright gives the owner exclusive rights to reproduce, publish and communicate and adapt their work. The C symbol, C in a circle, is not mandatory, but it can be used to indicate copyright protection and the year of first publication. Intellectual property protection, this will help with question 26. IP protection in Australia covers patents, so to protect new inventions, trademarks, so this is unique signs, logos and symbols, designs to protect the visual appearance of a product, and trade secrets, which refers to the confidential business information of an organisation. Part 3, representing your organisation. It's important to maintain a positive and professional image when representing your organisation, and this will help you with question 22. So we need consistency in communication style, messaging, branding, using approved logos, colours and visual assets. Needs to be accuracy of information about the organisation, its products, services and initiatives. We should avoid making any false claims or misrepresenting facts. Then it should be transparency about your own role and connection when communicating in an official capacity, professionalism in tone and demeanour in all interactions, be respectful, courteous and responsive when engaging with others, whether it's in person or by email or on social media. Knowledge and expertise, so stay informed about your organisation, the mission, goals and values. Be knowledgeable about your industry so that you can effectively represent its interests. Be authentic, be genuine, show enthusiasm for the work and convey a sense of passion and dedication. There's a lot in that, isn't there, when you're representing your organisation, but I think it's very important. Your words and actions reflect the organisation's image and reputation. It's important to represent in a positive and professional manner, to be positive, not to detail negatives or incidents. And we all have things that we're not happy about or not proud of, but just to be positive and to talk about the positive things of our organisation. Don't overpromise or exaggerate. If you send your student to us, they will, pass year 12 and go on to university, because they may not. So don't overpromise, and be clear and factual about your organisation. Providing information, the process by which personal student information is obtained, stored, updated, accessed and passed on to third parties is determined by the organisation's privacy policy, which will conform to the Australian privacy principles. So disclosing personal information to third parties can only be done if the student or parent, depending on the student's age, gives permission, it's authorised by the organisation or required by law, and it meets one of the other exceptions in the Australian privacy principles. The Australian Privacy Act was revised in 2014, and we have these Australian privacy principles. These guide on how to manage personal information in an open, transparent way and explain what information can be collected, how the information can be used, how the information can be passed on to others. When we're thinking about privacy and confidentiality, don't share information with people who don't need it, even if you are, allowed to do it. If they don't need it, don't share information with them. Keep written information in a safe place and don't gossip. Copyright and intellectual property protection in Australia is governed by the Copyright Act 1968 and other irrelevant legislation. And so this will help you with question 25. Copyright automatically protects the original literary, artistic, musical, dramatic works, as well as film, sound recording and broadcast. So there's no need to register these copyrights, as it's granted on creation of the work, and it lasts for the life of the creator plus 70 years. So anonymous works last for 70 years from the first publication. Copyright gives the owner exclusive rights to reproduce, publish and communicate and adapt their work. The C symbol, C in a circle, is not mandatory, but it can be used to indicate copyright protection and the year of first publication. Intellectual property protection, this will help with question 26. IP protection in Australia covers patents, so to protect new inventions, trademarks, so this is unique signs, logos and symbols, designs to protect the visual appearance of a product, and trade secrets, which refers to the confidential business information of an organisation. Part 4, maintain and improve networks and collaborative partnerships. Maintaining the network, and this will help you with question 27. Toby and Mitford boarding supervisors regularly review their network 3 or 4 times a year, and so this could be a standing agenda item, maybe once a term or something like that, just to ensure that the list is current, that the services and the people are still there. They make additions to the list, new services or new student needs, etc. And they take steps to maintain the networks, organising a meeting with supporters or getting information and news events out to the network. Strategies to maintain collaborative partnerships, this is question 28, include making sure there's regular communication, mutual benefit to both parties, that there's active engagement, relationship building, so just making sure that you build that relationship, clear communication, that there's recognition and appreciation of the other party, relationship building activities, and flexibility and adaptability. Strategies to improve networks, question 29, is to make sure there's strategic alignment, to just look at the alignment to make sure that there's still alignment there, collaboration opportunities, to take a long-term perspective and continuously evaluate and improve your network. Evaluating networks and collaborative partnerships. So you need to define the evaluation criteria. What are we looking at here? What are we evaluating? How are we evaluating it? Collect the data, assess the collaboration process, measure outcomes and measure impacts. Evaluating networks and collaborative partnerships, review financial aspects, make sure that they still align with strategic goals, have a process of continuous improvement, communicate and share results. You can conduct a comprehensive evaluation of your boarding networks and collaborative partnerships. This helps a bit with question 30. So you can work out if a partnership is of value and should be continued, or if a partnership can be improved, or if the partnership needs to finish up, if it needs to conclude. So that's the end of networking and collaboration, Unit 1. And I hope you can see the importance or the value of effectively networking and effectively collaborating with others, and how this will help boarders to have an optimal boarding experience. Thank you very much.